For years now, we've been able to scrape basically anything we wanted on the internet, but now we can run it through an entire automation. And if you know how to scrape anything in an AI automation, the entire automation world opens up to you. From unique personalized emails, to a cold calling agent closing deals for you, to a real-time video clone of yourself reposting content that you never even made. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build an AI automation scraper and how you can reuse that scraped data to then run another automation to start making your own content. On top of that, guys, everything you're seeing in this video is given away to my community, Kev's No Code Academy, meaning all you have to do is go to the academy, download the blueprints that I talk about in this video, and you have my entire automation. Now, to sell these automations, you're still going to have to learn how they work just in case they break when you sell it to a client. So watching this video, regardless of being in the community or not, is a good idea. If you can't afford the monthly cost for the community, I also have a free community called Kev's Free No Code Academy, where I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit more basic versions of the automations that I talk about in these videos so you can start learning as soon as today. But let me now show you how it actually works. This is our Airtable database where we're actually storing usernames of people that we want to scrape. And in this case, we're going to use my TikTok username. Once that information comes in, we then grab all of those responses. So it would be my username that gets put through here. My username then gets sent to this TikTok scraper called Appify, and it gets back all of my information about my account. From there, that information gets fed back to that Airtable that I was telling you about. And then this next automation runs. And this automation gets back the information that the API call got. We then extract the data that's in that API call, and then we start running it through this download file. So then we have the downloaded file on our actual automation. We could then convert that video to an audio so that the ChatGPT can understand the MP3 file. We can send it into GPT to basically write our transcription, and then we update Airtable one more time. When that next update happens, we then jump over to this videos tab where we have all of our API scraped videos, and we can start writing our own scripts. So once that happens, this third automation runs where we get that information back from the Airtable. We then go to Google Docs to basically prompt our ChatGPT. And in this step, ChatGPT is basically like our copywriting employee. He's like our viral script writer, copywriter. It's a part of our company, and that is the role that we're giving it through the different prompts that we have sent it. So I'm going to be explaining all of that in today's video. And by the end of this automation, guys, what should happen is, based off of your competitors' videos, you have a brand new script ready for you to make content out of. So right here, if we click these buttons, it's actually taking me to a script that I just created out of thin air using this automation. This script does not exist, and no one has ever read this script, but it's based off of one of my competitors' videos that did hundreds of thousands of views. Now that you guys understand that, let's dive into this full-on breakdown. And if you're new here, like and subscribe, because my goal is to keep you as caught up in the AI wave. This is the right time to join us, be a part of this beautiful YouTube community. Let's dive in. Okay guys, so the first step we want to do is actually build an Airtable database. So we're going to start from scratch, and we're just going to title this Scraper Test. And I'm just going to write the date because I have a bunch of different databases live right now. Okay, awesome. Now this first table we're going to call users. We're going to save that. This grid view we're going to call all users, and we're going to save that. And now we can start filling out the different columns in this Airtable. So literally just follow me step by step if you haven't downloaded the blueprint. So the first column is going to be username. That'll be a single line text. Save. This one's going to be the channels that we're going to run the scrape on. So as this automation will evolve, you can actually, like I said, scrape anything. And so this automation that we're going to be building is a social media scraper, meaning you can scrape on any social media platform. So we're just going to write TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Okay, we'll just keep it nice and sweet. We're going to call this column channel type. Next one here, guys, we're going to write run scrape with a question mark. Okay, we're going to turn that into a checkbox field, and we're going to click OK. Next one, we're going to download their profile picture. So we're going to write profile pic, attachment field, and create field. This one's going to be their bio link. So we're just going to write bio link, and then in the field type, we're going to write URL and create that field. Okay, now we got some number fields. So I'm just going to show you how that looks. So we're just going to write followers. We're going to write number, and we're just going to get rid of the decimal places, and we're going to get rid of this thousand separator. We're going to click create field. If you're interested in seeing like who's the most up and coming creator in a certain field, for example, grabbing all of their information and running it against each other could also be a whole new use case that you use just based off of this scraper automation. And so you can see how powerful the automation can be once you understand how it works. You could fill this out with the rest of the data. In this example, we don't even need any of this data because right now we're just grabbing their videos and we're turning those videos into new scripts. So the next one, we're going to write run ID. And this is the ID that we're going to get back from the API, from the scraper API. So it's just going to be a single line text. But what this does is it allows us to identify the different run IDs so that we don't mix up the runs that we're checking. So if something goes wrong, we can just check the run ID and it'll show us which field had that error, and we can fix it faster. Next one here, we're gonna write record ID. We're gonna write a formula. You're just gonna write rec. This should pop up. You're gonna close that parenthesis and you're good to go. So this is an Airtable record. This is what we use to pass triggers, which is something that'll make sense as you start to get used to Airtable and Make. Next one here, we're gonna write last modified time. It'll actually create the name of the field for us, and we can just click create field. Okay, so now we're gonna open up a brand new table. So we already have the users table, right? So we're gonna go to link to another record. We're gonna write videos, create a new table, videos, and this allow to linking to multiple records is very important for these different tables to kind of communicate to each other, if that makes sense. So if data comes into the users page that you also want to come into the videos page, that's done by this allow linking to multiple records. So we're just going to click create field, and you guys see here that we have the videos table now open. So we're going to hop over to that videos table quickly. We're just going to add something called video created time. And all this is the date of the information that we're scraping. Okay, we can hop back to users for one last thing. We're going to go open another field here. All right, last video created. I'm gonna go down and select the roll-up feature. With the field selected, we're gonna select video created time. We're gonna write down max values. Okay, what this does is it makes sure that every single time we run this operation, it's just gonna grab the most recent upload. Okay guys, so the users table is done. We can now head to videos and start filling this out. So this first one here is gonna be called ID, single line text, click save. We can move this over. This next one's just going to be user because it's one individual user at a time that's pushing a video through this field. So we can actually unlink this and click save. We're going to confirm that change. All right, this is going to be another checkbox field. It's going to be called generate script, question mark. Now we're going to get back the cover image of the video that we're scraping. So we're going to write cover. This is going to be an attachment, create. Next one's going to be a video. So we're going to write media. This is also going to be an attachment. We're going to get the caption of the video, so we're just going to write caption. Now this can be pretty long, so we're just going to write long text. We're going to create the transcript of the video, so we're going to write srt/transcript. This is going to be a long text. Add last modified time. We're going to add another record ID. This is again another formula, rec. Boom, close the parentheses, create field. Just like we did in the users table, we're gonna add another link to record because we're opening our last table, which is where the completed scripts go. So we're just gonna call this new scripts. We're gonna call the table new scripts as well and create field. And you guys will see that that new scripts field has now opened up. Now the videos table is done. You can head over to the scripts table and we're almost done with like this first part of the automation, which is filling out the Airtable database. So good job if you made it this far because this is the most boring part. So first one here, we're gonna write doc ID. This is gonna be a single line text. The videos column is useless for this table, so we can hide this field. We're gonna open up a new one. We're gonna write doc link. This is going to be a URL. Next one's going to be an open URL. So we're going to actually open that doc link that we had in the previous column. So we're going to find a button field. We're going to open that up, and then we're going to write the formula of the button is going to be this squirrely brace with the doc link. So right there, boom. We're good to go. We're going to create field. The last one we're going to put here, guys, is the created time. So these are going to be the times that you created your new script. Okay, so everything that comes into this table is created by you from this automation, which is going to be really, really satisfying once you get there. So the name of these grid views is the next thing we're going to fix. So we're just going to go to videos here. We're going to rename this to all videos. Click save. We're going to go to new scripts. We're going to go all scripts. We're going to click save. Okay, so now you have all users, all videos, and all scripts. We're just going to head back to the videos table. We're going to add a new grid. This is what's going to trigger your automation. Okay, so if that sounds like foreign language to you, don't worry. It's going to make sense. Call this generate script, and we're going to save. And we're going to go back to the users. We're going to make a grid, and we're going to call this run scrape. And save. Really quick before we move forward, I'm actually going to now fill in the username data that I want to scrape. Just do my TikTok account. So Kevin does AI. Okay, so we have the username. We're going to, in this example, we're going to be scraping from TikTok. So we can select the TikTok and we're going to check off the run scrape. Okay, so now we can actually show you what that does. So in this field here, we see that all the information is also populated in the run scrape field, but we're actually going to create some filters. So we're going to go filter number 1. Username is not empty, and channel type is exactly TikTok, and run scrape is checked. Okay, so only way that information is allowed to come into this field is if all 3 of these columns are filled out. So if I get rid of this check mark, you guys are going to see that it disappears. Okay, so it's still going to be in this all users because there is no filter, but once you check this, it'll run into here, which triggers the automation. I'm going to go to the videos tab. We're going to go to generate script, and we're going to create some more filters as well. So these filters are going to be when the SRT transcript is not empty and the generate script is checked off. Oh, Airtable is done. Let's head over to make and let's get started with our automation. The first thing that we want to do is receive the data from Airtable. We're going to open up an Airtable module and we're going to click watch responses, instant trigger, create a webhook. For example, I'm just going to write the date, November 5th. Click save. And then it's going to give you this address. So for now, all you have to do is just copy that to your clipboard and click OK. And now we're going to create that trigger that I was just talking about. So we're going to head back to Airtable. We're going to go to this automations tab in the top left-hand corner. And we're going to build our first trigger. So this is going to occur when a new record enters the view. I'm going to select the table where we have the view that I'm talking about. So we have the users and we have the run scrape view. We're going to choose the record that's in there and that looks good. So that step is successful. And we're just going to add one more thing. We're going to update the record. So once this automation happens, we can now update what's in that Airtable to make sure that the automation doesn't use the same data. So we're going to get rid of that check mark. So we're going to go to that users. We're going to grab that user's record ID. We're going to grab the run scrape and we're going to uncheck it. You see how we're unchecking it here? That's beautiful. We can test this step. Generate the preview. Okay, so it was able to do that for us. Add one more step here, and this is what's going to actually send the information to make.com. So we're going to run this script. I'm going to type in record ID. Okay, be careful of the lettering here. You want that I to be capitalized. The value, you want to be that Airtable record ID that we're going to be passing, and everything else looks good. Now you're going to head back to make.com really quick. And if you guys remember, we copied this to our clipboard. So we're just going to use this link and we're going to replace it with the one that I gave you. Okay, so we're replacing my webhook with your webhook. Okay, so right here, put that in and everything is good for our first automation to run. So to see if everything works, we're going to go back to our make.com. We're going to click run once. It's going to be waiting for the data and we're going to trigger that data to actually pass through. If this comes back successful, okay, so that worked. We can go back to our automation and there we go. We have the record ID. The next step here is we're gonna have to make a new connection here. Connection type OAuth, or I'm just gonna put the name again as November 5th. Okay, add a base, scraper, November 5th, grant access. Okay, now our Airtable and make.com is hooked up together. So now we should get our bases. Boom, we have the scraper test. Okay, so the table that we're using in this part of the automation is the users table, and we can pass through the record ID from step number 1. So that looks really good. We're gonna click OK. And we're going to get into our next step. It's actually going to be grabbing that information from Airtable and using it to scrape a specific username on TikTok. And so then, like I said, in this example, it's going to be my username that's going to be passed. So the scraper that we're going to be using is on this software called Appify. So I'm just going to click run in Actor, and I'm going to show you how Appify works. Okay, so this is like the behind the scenes of Appify. Once you get your API key, you can then start using Appify's different APIs, and they have a whole store of them. But basically what Appify does right now that's best in class is they have a bunch of scraper tools. So like email scraper, Instagram scraper, LinkedIn, like it could be anything. And so in this example, we're going to be using the TikTok profile scraper. And per scrape, it's like half a penny. Okay, so it's very affordable. Since I have added these to my favorite tab, it's actually now activated actors. So I can go back to our automation. I can go back to this run an actor, and they should all be right here. So as you guys can see, this TikTok profile scraper is the one that I was talking about. So we're going to choose that. Okay, so I'm just going to copy in this code, but I want you guys to just literally copy this. So pause the screen if you have to, but this is exactly what you have to copy. And I can explain a couple of things as well. So the first part of this input JSON is the date of the oldest post. And so Appify needs to know what date you want to be scraping the information from. Anything past January 1st, 2024, this scraper won't touch. And so if you want to grab, let's say 2 years worth of videos, you would then just write 230101, for example. Right here, it's going to pass the username of the account that you want to scrape, right? So that's going to be coming from this get a record step here. So that's actually already set up for you guys. And the last thing that you got to know is this results per page. Okay, so results per page is how many videos you actually want to be scraping. So you can go all the way up to like 1,000 scrapes per username. Right? But in this example, we're just going to do one. Once that looks good, you can just click OK. Since we don't have the data here, I think it would be a good idea if we actually run this automation one more time. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to click run once. Okay. It's going to be waiting for that new data, right? So we're going to go back to Airtable and we're going to test that action to pass through that data. See that check off. Okay, perfect. It should now come through. And here we go. So the status of the Appify is ready. And the other way we can check to see if this is working is we can go back to our Appify page. We can go to this TikTok profile scraper. And the time right now is 12:51 p.m. And you guys can see here at 12:50 p.m. it ran the scrape. So we're going to click save and we're going to add a last module to actually update Airtable with the information that we got back. So in this Airtable module, we're actually going to click update a record. Okay, so we're still using the users table. We're going to update that record ID, which is going to be the same record ID that we've been using. And so for the run ID, guys, we're just going to grab the default data set that we got back from Appify. So right here, this default data set ID, we're going to click that. That's all we really need to pass. Okay, so we're good. We're going to click OK. There you go. You have automation number 1 done in out of 3. So that's really good. We're going to click save. We're just going to make sure that this update a record works. So we're going to click run once. We're going to go back to our Airtable. We're going to test the action. Okay, that fired, so everything looks good. We can open this up to see how it looks. And yep, it filled up all the information that we need. So if we go back to Airtable, we go back to data, we go to that the actual piece of data that we ran the automation for. You guys can see here that we have the new run ID of the Appify data set. So that's perfect. Okay, so we can move on to automation number 2. We're back in make.com. We're going to click on create a new scenario. I'm going to type in Appify. Show more. We're going to go watch actor runs. So this is another version of a webhook. Whenever you see this lightning bolt, that means it's something that's going to be receiving information immediately and triggering an automation. And so we can click add a new webhook here. And in this one, we're going to be grabbing that TikTok profile scraper. We're going to click save, show address. And here we can copy that address, okay? But the beautiful thing about Appify is that it should have integrated that for us automatically. So if we go into integrations, you guys can now see I have 4 live, but it just added one for us, and that's this one right here. Okay, so the only thing we have to change on this page is get rid of this run failed, get rid of the run timed out, and get rid of the run aborted, okay? We only want this to start when the run itself succeeded. From there, we can click save. That looks really good. So we can click OK for this webhook. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to receive back the data that the scrape was doing. Okay, so we got the run ID immediately. We did that in the last step of this automation, but the actual data that's inside of that run ID doesn't get shown until it actually completes, which will come here. This is ready to go. So we're actually going to click run once to see if this works. We're going to go back to this automation. We're going to run it as well. And we're going to go back to our Airtable and we're going to trigger everything to see if it works. So let's see what happens. Okay, so Airtable triggered, then this triggered. Then let's see if Apify is running. So if we go to TikTok scraper, we can go to runs. We can see that this thing's currently running. So that looks good. Okay, so that finished. So if we go back to our webhook, this should fire in a sec. Okay, perfect. So everything's working and we can continue our automation. We got back the data. So now we just want to open that data up. So we're going to go to Apify. We're going to click get dataset items. We're going to change this data transformation to none. And we're just going to grab that dataset ID that we just passed through. It's going to be this default dataset ID that we grabbed earlier, and everything else is good to go. We're going to click OK. We're going to click save. And the next module here is going to be Airtable search records. Okay, select that same base. Table is going to be users. For the output fields, we're just going to select all. And for this formula, we're just going to make sure that we're passing through that username. So we go username with a capital U equals. And here we would pass through the username that the Apify scraper got as well to make sure that the username that we're pushing through and the username that Apify got matches up. But we don't have that username yet because we didn't grab the dataset items in this step. So we're just gonna save this out. But before you do that, just limit this to 1 because we want to make sure that we're only grabbing one video at a time, because we're gonna then transcribe it, right? So we can't be sending all of these videos into the same transcriber in one automation, because you can imagine ChatGPT is just gonna be like, what the fuck is all these words? Like I need the actual script. Click save. We're gonna unlink this. We're gonna get that data set information. We're gonna run once. We're gonna go back here, run once. We'll go back to our Airtable and test the action. Okay, awesome. We got that data set ID info. So now we can connect this together. Now we can start searching records and updating records because we have all that information. So we can first of all update the formula because now we have the input of the username ID. So once you have it like this, just click OK. Okay, guys, so this next module is going to be a download file. So we're going to write in HTTP get a file. Best way to think about this is it just downloads the file that you give it. Scroll down. You guys see this media URLs tab. We're going to open that up and we're going to select this one. Cool thing about Apify too, guys, is that when you see their link here that usually says Apify v2/key values, that usually means that that's typically a value that people pass through. And so like, if you're kind of confused, you can tell that, okay, this is the audio file. Oh, okay, this one that also has this key to value, it says cover URL. That's the image of the cover of the video. This download adder is the subtitle of the video. So all these different things. Now this will end up checking off. So we're just going to save because we know that works. Sometimes accounts don't allow people to download these subtitles. And so the solution we're going to do today is going to be a cloud convert, because then you'll never get an error. And so once you sell this automation to a client, you're going to know that there's going to be no issues. In this example, that's why we're going to do it this way. We're going to add another module. This one's going to be cloud convert. Open it up, convert a file. The input file is going to be from an upload a file, and we're going to map it from this last step. The format that we're going to be sending it in is not, we're going to click, I don't know the format. But the output format, guys, we're going to select as MP3, and the file name is just going to be called transcript audio.mp3. We're going to download that file and click OK. Next up, guys, we're actually going to transcribe it. So we're going to send it to ChatGPT. We're going to click create a transcription. We're going to click cloud convert and everything else is good to go. Click OK. And last but not least, we're actually going to then update all of this information back to our Airtable. So we're actually going to be updating a lot of info here. Just going to open up an Airtable and click create a record. So basically what we're doing is we're just creating records of all the information that we just got in all of these previous steps in automation 2 out of 3. So in this table, guys, we're going to click videos. Very important. And we should have the record ID. This is of the specific video. So that'll be right under the author meta and right here under ID. So create video time. We can grab the create time ISO. You don't want to grab this one. So this caption here is going to be the text that is coming from Apify, which is our text that's under the video. This one is going to be the text that we created with ChatGPT. So this is going to be the transcript of the video that we're scraping. We can click OK, we can click save, and we can test if everything works. If this one doesn't work, I'm gonna be fucking shocked, to be honest. I'm gonna be fucking shocked and I'm gonna be pretty fucking pissed. Okay, automation 1 fires. Scrape is going. Okay, that fired through. Okay, awesome. So it looks like it created the record. So if we head back to Airtable, we now go to data. We now go to videos. We can now see that the video ID is here, and we can see that we have the transcript. And so all we have to do to move on to our next step is check off this generate script. And so once we check that off, we should see that this has now appeared. So if we uncheck it, it disappears. If we check it, it appears. So what that means, guys, is we're more than halfway through this automation and we can turn on all the triggers that we just worked on. So we're gonna go all the way back to automation number 1. We're gonna save it. We're gonna turn this on immediately as data arrives. We're gonna save that again. We're gonna exit out. So this automation 1 out of 3 is ready to go. This is turned to on. And now you can see all of your different automations firing right here on the right-hand side panel, and you don't have to touch it. And we can do the same thing with integration number 2. We're gonna go here, turn it on immediately as data arrives. We're gonna click OK. We're gonna save that as well. We're gonna exit out. We're just gonna go up here in the top right. We're gonna turn it on. We're gonna go back to the automations in Airtable. We're gonna go to the automations tab. We're gonna rename this first automation to run scrape on TikTok, but basically we're now gonna build our generate script trigger. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna turn on this initial automation, so right here. And so now when that new first data comes in, it'll automatically fire, and I'll show you guys at the end of the video today, but we're just gonna basically duplicate this, and we're gonna rename this one to run script generation, or we're gonna call this run script automation. Okay, so everything's gonna remain the same here when record enters a view, but instead of the users table, we're gonna do the videos table. The view that we're gonna pick is gonna be this generate script. That looks good. We can select that record. That test result came back successfully. That's awesome. So now we're just gonna update the records. So instead of the users table again, we're gonna do videos. And then we're gonna choose the field that we're gonna uncheck. It's gonna be the generate script that we're unchecking this time. Last time it was the videos. We can run that test. This should come back as, so that failed because we have unknown field right here. We're just gonna get rid of that unknown field. We're gonna run that test one more time. Okay, so that worked, it updated it. Now if we go back to our data, we should see that it's, yep, it's not in our view anymore. So if we go to generate script, it's nowhere to be found. So here we can fire this one more time. It should now be in our generate script. And if we go back to our automations page, we can move on. So we're gonna go to run a script. You guys already have that webhook and stuff ready to go. And so this is almost finished. Just gonna go back to make.com and we're gonna start building out our third automation out of 3. So once again, we're gonna click Airtable. This is gonna be watch responses instantly. We're gonna create another webhook. We're gonna call this November 5th, hook 2. We're gonna copy that to our clipboard. And then just like we did in the previous automation, we're gonna go edit this code and we're gonna get rid of the webhook I gave you with the webhook you just copied in. And then you're gonna also already pass this record ID and stuff, but we already did that for you guys. So that looks good. We can now test the action. Okay, and so it says everything came back good. So when we go to our 3 out of 3, we can click OK. We're gonna rename this to scraper test 3 out of 3. We can save that. And now we can run this once, okay? And we're gonna go back to number 2. Since that's already ready to go, that's gonna fire, this is gonna fire. And all we have to do is just test this action. And we should receive that data. Awesome, so we got the data, now we can move on. So we're gonna get a record from that data so we can actually look at what's inside of it. I'm gonna grab the table, it's gonna be videos and that record ID. Cool, we're gonna click OK, save. We're gonna run this one more time so the data passes through. Test action. Data is now going to pass through. Okay, awesome. So now we have the data that we need to continue. So here we're going to write Google Docs. Hit content of a document. Basically what this does is it's going to grab this as like information that you can then train your GPT on. So what this would be what this document would be is all the instructions that you want to give ChatGPT. And so in this example, what that would look like is, hey, you're a copywriting specialist in my company. You're going to grab a script from a competitor that already went viral. What I want you to do is grab the script. Here's the information about our company. So in this example, my company is Kev's No Code Academy and Batty Ventures, help thousands of AI beginners learn AI automations and build and sell them. And so I want you to kind of incorporate that into your plan, or incorporate Batty Ventures, where we build out AI SaaS products and sell them to the world. So if you can do your best, try and make this script, talk about that stuff as well. And then it'll be passed to ChatGPT, okay? So we're then gonna click that next step, which is gonna be ChatGPT. This one's gonna be create a completion. First message is gonna be the user message. It's gonna be text, and it's gonna be this text content that's from here. So we're just gonna train the model on the text content that we're passing. That's good. We're gonna add another message. It's gonna be user, and we can go like based off of the previous message I sent you, grab this transcript, which is going to be right here, and spice it up in your own words with the context of my company that I gave you. I want you to respond with only your new script for me to read. No other words in your output. The transcript output is the only thing I want. So that should be good. Now, what else you can do to make this even more specified is, let's say you're making like an Instagram reel or like a TikTok. Chances are you're going to use like 300 to 400 words per video on average. And so this is going to help you determine what the actual output you want it to be. So you can put in 10,000 words of a viral YouTube video that you liked, but the output can be for a TikTok video. And so you can get very creative with that. You can put in TikTok videos and get out YouTube scripts. Since this video that we want to get back is only going to be a TikTok, we're just going to do 300 tokens. So they're going to be grabbing all of the information in this transcript, and they're going to try and condense it into 300 letters. And so after this module, guys, what I recommend is that we run it through a sleep module. So we're just going to write sleep. We're going to go inside of tools. We're going to click this sleep module. So what this does is it puts the automation to sleep. And why is this important is that, let's say you're running 1,000 videos all at once through this automation. Well, it's going to take a little bit of time for GPT to actually create a new script for you. And so if you keep putting in requests to ChatGPT before it finishes its previous automation, it's going to break the actual flow. And then before you know it, you don't know what's broken. You don't know how to fix it. So just put it to sleep so that it allows it some time to create each transcript before the next one gets sent through. So in this example, I'm going to put it as 30 seconds. But since we're testing it, we're only going to put it as 3 seconds because we're only testing for now. We don't want to wait 30 seconds. Now we have the new transcript. We got to put it on a Google Docs. So we're going to go Google Docs. We're going to go create a document. The name of this document is going to be new script from competitor. The content's going to be the result of the GPT response. And the folder that we want to put it in can be this AI script generator folder that we already made. I'm going to click OK. Okay, so now that we created the document, we can just upload it back to Airtable to finish this automation. So we're going to go create a record. And this time, guys, we're going to click new scripts. The doc ID is the document ID that's right here. And the doc link is going to be this web view link that you see right here. If you run into some errors in this step, it's probably because your permission ID isn't valid, meaning that the document is only restricted for you to view it and the APIs can't interact with each other. So all you got to do is just go to Google Drive and make sure you're set up there correctly. This should work. So we're just going to save. We're going to run this once. We're gonna go back to our trigger. We're gonna test this action, grab the response. It's getting the content. It's now going through its transcript. It's now putting it to sleep. So it's already built out that new transcript. It's creating the document and it's creating the record. So that all worked. So if we are successful, we should be able to go back to Airtable. We should go back to our data. We should be able to go back to our new scripts. And there we go. So we have the doc ID, we have the doc link. And to make it easy for us, we have this button. So if we click this button, it should just bring us right to this new script. And so it grabbed my 8-minute video, and now we have a 2-paragraph script, which is now perfect for short form content. Super, super powerful stuff, guys. And like I said, the scraper automation is the baby automation that fits into so many other possibilities. But you need to learn this level 2 automation to start building the level 4, level 5 automations that I have in my community. With this script, guys, I'm gonna show you how you can clone yourself as an avatar and get that cloned avatar to start posting these videos automatically while you're not even at your computer. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll see you guys in Kev's No Code Academy. Hit this video with a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.